More on the White House Cybersecurity Summit. We are joined now by Massoud Amin from Minneapolis. She is a professor of electrical and computer engineering and also the director of the Technological Leadership Institute at the University of Minnesota. What do you make of the summit, the fact that it was held there in the heart of the Silicon Valley, the President of the United States there, obviously illustrating the importance of this issue, especially in light of the Sony Pictures case and other high-profile cases?
Good evening, Mike. It is very timely. This has been in the making for a long time, and it's not new, by the way. You may remember, the viewers may remember the Presidential Commission on Critical Infrastructure Protection that was created 18 years ago, and a four-star retired Air Force General, General Marsh, led that. That was before Y2K. And they focused on 8 critical infrastructure and led to a presidential decision directive in May of '98. Following that, Richard Clark, the cybersecurity czar who became famous post the Iraq war, him and Director Mueller were there in 2002. If I recall correctly, I happened to be in Palo Alto working there at the time, at Stanford University, exactly on the same subject. On the cybersecurity, focus of it was mostly exploitation of cyber vulnerabilities for national security events. So this is the first ever summit that the President of the United States has attended, has briefed, and this comes after 2 years ago, on February 12, 2013, President Obama issued Presidential Policy Directive 21 that created the framework for public sector, private sector working together, coming up with best practices, how they are going to collaborate. So having it at Silicon Valley, at Stanford, and having the CEOs of major healthcare, utilities, information technology, banking, present and build a consensus together going forward is critical.
Well, Massoud, let me piggyback off what you just said, because some of these people who were not in attendance obviously got a lot of the headlines. Do you get the sense that some of them feel as though they're under attack? Because British Prime Minister David Cameron was here in Washington a month ago urging Obama to lean on these web behemoths to cooperate more with his government in cracking down on terrorism, framing it as a moral issue. And we see that some of them just did not attend this event in Palo Alto.
I couldn't agree with you more, Mike. You look at this is about human rights. I mean, we in America, we are very fortunate, but if you look at information security and information privacy, we often pose a false question. We ask, do we increase security or do we increase civil liberties and privacy? We have been, in my institute at the university and before that at my old job, we work on finding ways to do both. So instead of this or that, can we do an and, not an or? So when you look at it, a lot of companies, for them it's an added cost and it's an added pressure for Googles of the world, Yahoos, and Facebook. Part of the reason they don't attend it because they're concerned what will come in terms of privacy for their users, and also they are maybe concerned about the cost of this would bring. And although at this point it's voluntary, it's a voluntary collaboration, they worried about standards and legislation and so on. In my view, those fears, the only way to deal with it is to get in there, be an active participant, shape it, because privacy and security can go together hand in hand. Doesn't have to be a trade-off in many cases. Some cases, you have to. We have used a lot of dogs, guards, cameras, and guns in the last 15 years, but there are ways to do it much more intelligently by design. Security by design, incorporated in our devices. You have seen the new iPhones, not to advertise by iPhones, but there is a huge debate globally on the encryption on that prevents FBI, other sources such as intelligence agencies overseas to tap into individuals' communication. But that actually is a good thing because many countries use that information to control brains, to control minds, and the consequences of that for the folks who don't have the privacy of their information is jail or worse.
All right, Massoud, we're going to have to leave it there. We've run out of time, but thank you so much for your analysis from Minneapolis this evening.
My pleasure.